And here we go. Cicero. Chapter 21. Ne duitus teniam. This is subjunctive. So I shall hold you. Ne duitus. No longer. I won't hold you any longer. That's a comparative form. Judges. Vocative. Or gentlemen, if you like. Societas coitur. So it was forced to be in a society, an alliance. A partnership was formed. Coitur. Cum nulla iam proscriptionis mentio fieret. So when none now mention of the prescriptions was being done, so basically it seems like now there's no mention of prescriptions, so cum etiam, and when even, qui entiam metuet, those who had been fearful before. If you take that little clause and look at cum etiam rediem. So when even they had returned, those who had been fearful before, this would be these prescriptions. And iam defunctos se periculis arbitrarenter. And so now, again, we have yam. Now they were thinking, say themselves, this defunctos would be people in general. They were done with, basically. It means it ended, and this would be dative or ablative plural of the periculis is danger. I'll go back and recap again. The nomen, the name, was referred to in the tablets. This is the tablets of the prescription or the list. Sextus Rosci homines, these are genitives. So the name was referred to on the tablets of Sextus Roscius. Here we see homines, of a man, so this is double genitive. Studio isimi, okay? This can be plural, but here it looks genitive again. So Rosci is genitive, homines is genitive, and the superlative is, he's a man most zealous for the nobility. He was referred to on the tablet. So, I won't hold you any longer, gentlemen. An alliance was forced. This would be the people who took away the land, basically. And when there's no mention of prescriptions now, when even those people returned who previously had been fearful, and now they were thinking that they were done with defunctos, with these danger in the ablative, and the name of Sextus Rosci, of a man who was most zealous for the nobilitas, he was put onto the list. Okay, so these tabulae set up by Sulla. There was not this one after the Battle of the Colonnine Gates with the names of those who had a price, but the prescription by the Lex Valeria. Okay, so manceps fit chrysogenus. So chrysogenus became the purchaser or the person who took control of the property. Okay, so I've set up our daily dictionary word. It is manceps. Third declension. The purchaser, contractor, owner, proprietor. Top 20,000 words of Latin. Okay, tria praedia, which means 3 estates, as you can see, or farms. Vel nobilissima capitolini propria traduntur, quae hodie possit. This vel would have to be an adverb, not a normal use. So this would be for instance, and not as used as or, which you do with a preposition. So, for instance, he was traduntur. It is said that he took the most nobilissimo, the most well-known one, was handed over dative to the Capitonus or whatever his name is. What is his name? Anyway, propria means it belongs to him, and quae hodie posset, which today he possesses. So there was 3 estates. So these neuter pradiums, in plural, become praedia. In reliquas omnis fortunas, in the remainder of all these fortunes, isti, if you know your demonstrative pronouns, it means someone you despise usually, or you're not using it in a good term. T Roscius. So Roscius is in the nominative. Isti nomine Chrysogoni, in the name of Chrysogonius, or whatever his name is, Chrysogonus, whom ad modum ipsi, said, who himself says, ad modum here just used to the limits basically is what it literally means. So he fully says this. He faceted an impetum, so he made some sort of swooping in or an attack for the rest of these fortunes. T. Roscius did this in the name of Chrysogenius. Now we've got something here different from the lobe. The lobe has got Haec bona sexagiens HS, which is money, monata duabus millibus nuum. So it says the property was valued at 6 million sesterces. Anyway, the Latin library picks up here with haec omnia iudes again, which is these things all, judges or gentlemen, imprudente el sala facta est Curtius. Basically means I know certainly that this was done. Facta esse, this was a deed with sala was imprudente, so he didn't know about this. So the bit that's missing here in this text is that the estate was valued at 6 million sesterces, but it was bought for 2,000. So I don't know why they haven't got that there. Okay, 22. Hopefully this is written correctly. Neque enim mirum. And for neither is this a wonder, you might want to say, when eodem tempore, male and neuter, it's neuter, which takes the eo, when in the same time, and ea, these things, in the female, which praeterita sunt, the things which have passed by, basically. Praeterita means things which have passed by. He's repareting. So he's repairing those things, quae, which have passed by, and ea, those things, quae, which videnta, which seem instare, to be pressing or coming in, prepara. So he's preparing for things which will be coming in, and he's trying to repair things which have gone by in the past. Cum et pacis constituende, which is a gerundive. And so when he's reasoning of founding a peace, or his way of founding a peace, and belli gerendi, and it looks like the power, potestem, of carrying on a wall, solus habeat. So he has solus alone, the way of founding a peace, and the power of conducting war. Okay, cum omnes, when everyone, spectent, when they are looking, in unum, towards one person, in with the accusative. Here we go. Unus, in the nominative, one person, gubernets omnia. So this is means he's governing all things. Also, a person on a boat which steers is called that. So when one person is ruling everything or governing everything. And cum tot tantusque, there's the enclitic. So when so many, tot so many, and in such types of negotis, so tantus negotis, distentus. Sit. So his attention, basically, which you get from tentus. So in so much business and such a types of business, his attention is on so much business and so much. Ut respirare libere non possit. So he's not able to respirate, to breathe. Libere is the adverb for freely. So this looks like a rather long sentence. And si aliquid. And if there's something which he is non-animadverted, which he hasn't noticed, cum praesertum, when especially tam, multi, occupation, eos observer, when multiple people, a lot of people are observing basically his occupation, what he's busying himself with. So many people are observing him going about his business. Tempusque, and time accupentur. This verb comes from when you're hunting for fowls and things like that. So there's a lot of people who are looking for this time which they could catch him, basically. Simul at the same time, and illy, he is despixerenting. So he's busy looking at other things, doing his business, basically. Aliquid huis qui modi molita. Okay, that's the end of the sentence. So molita means that people are striving to do aliquid, something huis qui, of this nature, of this type. Okay, so I'll recap that. So he thinks that this was without Sulla knowing about it. So neither is it a wonder when in this time and the things which have passed, Sulla's trying to repair. The things which seem to be pressing in hand, he's making preparations. So Sulla alone has the way of founding a peace and the power to carry on a war. And so when everyone in the state is looking at this one person who rules everything, because he was basically a dictator, and when such businesses and such a type he's distracted by, so that he's not even able to breathe freely, he's being such pressing matters. If he doesn't notice something, and especially when many people are seeing him being so busy in these things, and they're looking for a time when they could capture some advantage, and at the same time and he's despexating. He's sort of looking down at something. This is when they make some striving in some way of some nature. This is their opportunity. Okay, huc acid. So added to huc this is quod that, or because. Quem vis, although, which takes the subjunctive, although he, Illy, may be Felix, lucky or blessed, sicut just as he is, Tarrant, nevertheless, in such felicitate, the in's taking the ablative, nemo potest. No one is able to be so lucky in a Magna family. See, this isn't Sulla at all we're talking about. This is the guy who actually owned all these estates who was busy doing all this. I've just gone from reading Florist to swapping to here, so I've got to get my head in the game. So, qui, who, no one, neque servum, neque libitum, improbum. So there's no one who has a large family who does not have either a slave or a free man who is improbum, who is a disgrace basically, or up to no good. Interior is the T. Roscius. So, meanwhile, he, with that the not so favourable demonstrative pronoun, Roscius, a vir optimus, which must be sarcastic, which means he's a great man or one of the best men, the procurator of Chrysogenius. What was he called up here? He was called up Manceps there. Here he's called a procurator. So he's the administrator for Chrysogenius. He has come with the accusative to Ameriria, the name of the place, in Praedia, who is invaded. So he's come in, he's brought himself in to his estates. I mean, that was neuter plural. So he came in to this other person's estates, the guy who had died, where his son was supposed to inherit it. Hunc miserum. Okay, this is the accusative form. So this guy who actually was doing the work on the estate, he's now a wretch basically, or is miserum, or he's to be pitied. Luctu perditum, so he's perditum, he's lost in his grief and his luctu, who nondum, not yet even, omnia paterno funerae justa, so he hasn't even paid out, that's basically what solve means, for a just funeral for his father, justa funerae paterno, so he hasn't even finished off all of his father's funeral works, but this Roscius has come here to invade the farmsteads and take them. Nudum, which is accusative for being naked, so he's icketed. He's thrown out. T. Roscius has thrown out Sextus Roscio of Amerino. He's ejected Domo from the home and Focus from the fireplace or the hearth. Patris disqui penatibus praecipitum. So he's cast out headlong, praecipitum, nudum, naked. Basically, he's not taking anything with him from the home and the fireplace of his father and his gods. And the penates are like Lars, they're another gods. So, gentlemen, what the hell is this doing? I'll just exturbat it. So, gentlemen, that's vocative again. He's in the confusion. Ipsi amplissime pecunia fit dominus. So, T. Roscius comes along. He makes himself the dominus, he becomes the master of all this most ample pecunia money, of a grand sum of money and estates. Okay, so qui, who, in sua re fuesset egentissimus, this is another superlative, he'd been very much in poverty. Egent means without, in his own circumstances, re means in the matter of circumstances. So this is Roscius, who had been basically in poverty in his own places. Ut fit, as happens, he become insolent in alia. And so when he had the goods of another in alias, he become basically very proud. So hopefully we're getting all this together. Multa, it's a common way of having many things in the female version. Parlem's the adverb for openly. Domum suum's in the accusative, so it's towards his own house. And or ferabat's our imperfect verb. So he carried away multa, many things, so that'd be accusative, openly to his own house. So he's come in here to Sextus Roscius' estate when his father's died and just invaded basically and took it all, carried off things back to his own house where he'd been living basically in extreme poverty. Plura, many things, compared to Malta, which was a lot. Plura's many things. Clam secretly, compared to Parlim, which is openly. He was removing, it's a continuous action. From the middle of this estates, he secretly removed many things. And non-porca, which means not a few. Suis adjutoribusses, this is probably dative or ablative. To his helpers, basically adjutors are people who help. Large qui effuse qui. Large means a lot, probably, and effuse means freely or lavishly, and he was donabating. So he was giving not a small amount of things to his helpers, very lavishly. So he's taken many things openly to his house. Secretly, he's carried off a lot, and he's given largesses pretty lavishly to his helpers. And the reliqua constituta, the things which constituted the remainder of the estate, he vented about it. Another imperfect, he was selling at auction. That's ablative. And auction is individual sales, basically. 24. Quod Marinus usque eo visum est indignum. This could be a neuter which, or of course, or because. The Ameresians are the people who live in Amerina. Usque is as far as. So this seemed, visum est, to the people of Ameria to be indignant, as far as I'm concerned. And eo ut. Eo can be a bit like adio ut. So to such an extent that the urbe tota fletus gemmatus qui feret. So that with the whole city that's in the ablative, urbe tota, all the city became, actually full of tears and groaning, basically. If you want to work out how that they all go together, you could see what was the nominative. Fletus and gemmatus would be nominative singular or genitives or whatever. But we're running out of time. Etenem, if you separate them, it would be also, and anim is for. So you could say, for also there was multa, many, simul, at the same times, before the eyes versabantur. This just means while they were living. Usually you'd think it means turn towards, but versabantur just means. So while they were living, there were many things happening before their eyes. The mors, which is the death nominative. Hominis florentissima, of a most flourishing, prosperous man. Crudelissima, mors, I mean. So the most cruel death, it's the female version. So the most cruel death of the flourishing man Sextus Roscius. And moreover, the Philae eus e gestatus, and this most indignant poverty, moreover, of his son, eus Philae. So we've got the most cruel death of Roscius, the great poverty which is now upon his son, cui is the dative, to whom de tanto patrimonio prado, this de here takes the ablative. So the patrimonial estate, tanto, so much of it, that iste nefarious. Nefarious is the same in English, so that this was a bad thing, a nefarious crime, basically. Ne quidem, that not even the ita, the route or the passage of way to the sepulchrum patrium reliquens. So he wasn't even left the approach to the tomb of his father. That was the nefarious deed. It was so bad that usually you're allowed to, when you sell an estate, to be able to go visit the tombs of your ancestors. Okay, so the flag Cicero, this is a disgraceful emptio. Emptio is the buying, bonorum, of the goods. So there was a disgraceful buying of his goods. The possession, which means he just went in there and took it. Furta, we get furtive and thievery in English. Rapine, again that's seizing, takeaway. And the donations. This is the gifts he gave to his adjutoribusses, I'm guessing, which he donabated. So everyone here unhappy, they were crying, tearful. Many things went on before their eyes at the same time. The most cruel death, the son being cast into an indignant poverty, the nefarious way that his estates was taken away and that he wasn't even allowed access to the tombs. Nemo were at. There was no one, qui, who, non ordere omnia mallet. This means there was no one who didn't prefer to dare omnia, everything. There was no one who didn't prefer to dare that everything. Quam videre then to see in Sextus Rosci in the genitive, viro optimate, again that means he's a great man, one of the best men, or an excellent man, and honestissime, and again it's a superlative, and most honoured or dignified, bonus jactantem se ac domination T Roscium. So there was no one which is nominative who didn't prefer to dare everything than to see T Roscius, is the guy who's come in. He's jactantem, which is present participle for his boasting, and he was dominantum, he became the master of, which is where these genitives comes from, of Sextus Roscius' goods, bonus, of his goods, who was the best man and a very honest man. 25. Atqui, and so accordingly, de curanium genitive decretum statum fit. And so immediately statum there was a decree of the decurinates ut that decem prime, 10 of the leaders, the 10 of the first people basically means 10 of the best leaders would profiscanta, they would set out ad el sulla to Sulla and dociant eum, and teacher inform him qui via Sextus Roscius fuit. If you look at that download list of demonstrative pronouns, you see that this qui here would mean what type of via, what type of man Sextus Roscius had been. Conquirantur, they would complain concerning istorum scellerae et injurious, concerning the scellerae with this crime and this injustice, and again it's separated by this genitive, of istorum. They would complain concerning the crimes and the injustice of these, it's plural, orient. They would beg basically, ut that, et ilius mortui fame, that his fame or his reputation of him, to him was dead, morti, and filii innocentes fortunas conservatus velat, and he should want to conserve the fortunes of the innocent filii son. Atqui ipsum decretum quaeso cogniscat, and atqui, the decree itself, the ipsum decretum, quaeso, basically means I beg or would you please, cogniscat, which is the imperative plural, get to know this decree itself. So that's the story, except for this bit here I thought that was about Sulla for a while.